Hello and welcome to Sports This Morning. I'm Cecilia Omogbe.
Greetings to you from wherever you're watching us this morning. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Let's bring to you the news making the rounds from this part of the world. And let's talk about what the NFF is planning to do. And the question we have this morning, is it a boon for age grade teams? Is it a boon? Is this helpful? Is it of any advantage? Of course, the NFF is planning to make some changes, looking at how, even though the age grade teams do not get bonuses and some of those other things, the NFF is looking at ways to ensure that this new arrangement, they get something. And we'll talk about it on the show as we go on. That's why we put a pose out to you. Is it a boon? The new arrangement coming off the Zoom meeting that they had, the plans that they have for the age grade teams.
The new arrangement now is the fact that no allowances or wages or anything, but what they will be giving to them is simply because the money that comes from winning or getting to a particular stage where they can earn money, it will go to the team, everything. So that's what he's trying to say there. All right, also on the program, for Odion Ighalo, his dreams at Old Trafford continues because the club has confirmed an agreement with his club in China that he will be with them until January 2021.
All right, good one for Odion Ighalo. The club is always, supported as a boy, gets a chance to live out his dreams. Of course, the club wants him as well, so he's still a Red.
We have a guest in the studio. Bada Akintunde Jones is right here joining us. Good morning, it's good to have you.
Good morning, Cecilia. Good morning, guys, and always a pleasure, like I like to say, to be here.
Thank you for braving the rain.
Braving the odds to be here. All right, okay. Like we always say, sportsmen, sports people, sports lovers, we're not immune from what is happening in the society.
Absolutely.
It gets to us because we're part of it. And this morning, we're talking about sports stars, but we're talking about them reacting to something that has been in the news, something that everybody has been talking about, the death of George Floyd, the circumstances surrounding. A lot of people have been demanding for justice. A lot of sports stars have been showing support for George Floyd and the demands by people for justice to be done in the case. Let's take a couple of tweets from some
Start with Liverpool first. Liverpool.
Okay, Liverpool, a show of solidarity.
Yeah.
The guys, showing support, kneeling. That's at Anfield.
Yeah.
Taking the kneel, something that made popular by Colin Kaepernick.
Absolutely. I think that sports stars globally sit in a very opportune position of influence. They have the attention of the guys who shape policies, who make decisions in government. And as a result, seeing them respond in this way, condemning flatly the injustice that has been done, not just to George Floyd, but to black people around the world over the years, is the best thing, and it just leaves the heart. And there are people from different races, people of different color, unanimous, united in a voice saying this can't be happening. And we can't pretend that we don't live in a society where this is the everyday reality. Some of the biggest footballers, some of the biggest basketball players, some of the biggest sportmen are black people.
Yeah.
And you can't continue to behave like you don't see these things or that these things don't happen in society. And I think that at the end of the day, it's heartbreaking to see what's happening, the spate of violence and vandalism around the world.
Routine.
But if at the end of the day, it means that the black person, wherever they are in the world, are able to live almost, if not at the same level as everyone else, given exactly the same respect, just by reason of what has happened this time, I think this entire exercise, if I could call it that, would have been well worth it. But it's just absolutely heart-lifting to see the solidarity from sportsmen across different races, lending their voices, understanding that they sit in an opportune position, a very privileged position, a very powerful, influential position where they can influence policy, decision-making by their voices. And that's just, very, very important.
Yeah, and it's only about Liverpool. Rashford also, he says he's also hurting because of what happened to George Floyd. And he's been one of those players, the proponent of the Black Lives Matters. And so he also had to send a tweet and was also talking about, this, because he says it's a difficult thing for him to process. Says, I know you guys haven't heard from me in a few days. Have been trying to process what's going on in the world. He posted that on his social media site. He went further to say that at the time I've been asking people to come together, work together, and be united. We appear to me more divided than ever. People are hurting, and people need answers. Then with the hashtag Black Lives Matters, justice for George Floyd, and also other people that have, experienced police brutality leading to death. Okay.
So if I may add, this is not just about asking that black people are not killed. It's about asking for equality, equal opportunities. The institutional discrimination cuts across, even in football. Look at England. How many black managers do we have at the top flight? And people have been trying to shed light on this, to put some spotlight on this. Hasselbank has come out to say stuff about this. A lot of black managers, have come out to say we need equal opportunities. We need to be given an opportunity on the same level playing field as people of other races. So at the end of the day, I repeat, it's not about, oh, don't kill us, the police shouldn't brutalize our people. No, it's about understanding that we are all one people, regardless of what race we belong to, and we demand and deserve equal opportunities across the board, And that, for me, is a message that has got to be clear, and everyone, the decision makers, whether at the top levels in football or at the top levels in society, across the board, everyone has got to come to grips with this very important message.
In all, what you're saying, it needs reform. Maybe the system needs to be reformed.
Absolutely.
For us to be better.
Absolutely. Just look back 20 years ago. How many black players were playing at the top level of European football? You could count them. Yeah. But gradually...
And even the few ones, the things they had to endure.
Absolutely.
To stay at that
absolutely.
level.
You only need to speak to the Nigerian players who played in Europe in the 90s, in the 80s. But even now, the Balotellis of this world and other black players are still getting racist chants, at them, or fans chanting, racist slurs and whatnot at them. England black players, French black players suffer racism every time. And that's just sickening. And, this particular incident, the unfortunate murder by the police of George Floyd, gives us an opportunity to not just address police brutality, but other sub-themes that are equally important, and being...
So that we don't just leave the disease and be fighting the symptoms.
We're fighting the symptom. At the heart of this is, discrimination against a certain kinds of people and denying them opportunities that from a merit standpoint, they deserve most of the time. Just making it almost impossible as a black person to aspire to becoming, to being, something that you legitimately deserve. And that has got to be addressed going forward.
You're spot on right there, because the color of your skin shouldn't deprive you from certain privileges and all that. So we're all human. One human race. That's what everyone is trying to preach. That's why you have the likes of Tiger Woods. We saw your tweets earlier. Rashford, of course, we saw that earlier. Liverpool players. You also saw Chelsea also joining that. And you also have Paul Pogba, Manchester United, all of them, joining the cause, just trying to tell people how to behave. For Tiger Woods, just go through his tweet. He says, my heart goes out to George Floyd, his loved ones, and all of us who are hurting right now. I've always had the utmost respect for our law enforcement. They train so diligently to understand how, when, and where to use force. This shocking tragedy clearly crossed that line. I remember the early riots. I learned that education is the best path forward. We can make our points without burning the very neighborhood that we live in. I hope that through constructive, honest conversations, we can build a safer, unified society. That's coming from Tiger Woods. So he's not just talking about that, he's also addressing the issue
other issues.
Looting. Some protesters have taken opportunity, to loot and everything. So that's what he's also kicking against. So these sports stars just, trying as much as possible to...
That's a tweet from
yeah,
Paul Pogba
from
too as
Pogba.
well.
Yeah.
A whole lot of them saying, I mean, for me, the one that surprised me was someone like Michael Jordan. A lot of people have accused of being, always trying to be politically correct. But for him, this was a tipping point, and he came out in strong words against all of this. And I think at this point, nobody can afford to be silent.
I mean, these are leaders of the black community. Sport entertainment has, helped for certain individuals within this sphere to rise to
top.
To the top. And they will be doing a disservice to the rest of us if they kept quiet. In fact, they'll be complicit, if they kept quiet. So it's just absolutely, heart-lifting to see that they are giving a voice to the yearnings and the age-long yearnings and aspirations of black people, the pain that black people have felt all over the world in those years. So if Michael Jordan isn't lending his voice, if Jay-Z isn't lending his voice, then you wonder who will. Because these guys are the leaders of the black community.
And they have the platform
globally.
as well.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, we need to go on a break right about now. When we return from that break, still so much for your sponsors this morning. Join us again. All right, welcome back. Let's come home now and talk about football here in Nigeria. Of course, COVID-19 has disrupted a lot of things. Now, AGMs don't hold anymore. People have Zoom meetings, find a way to get around what has been happening. And the NFF had just had one, and a lot of talking points from that Zoom meeting. We've highlighted some of the things that they talked about, some interesting things to take a look at, and I'm very sure it's going to come up on your screen. That's it on your screen. Let me just, one of the talking points is about the Super Falcons. Let me just quickly read this to you. Comments from the NFF president. He says, I've always said that we have special love for the Super Falcons. That is a team that has won most laurels for this country, and we appreciate and adore them. I'll be in contact with FIFA during the week to know when we will receive the appearance fee for the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup. That money is the sum of $760,000, and 30% of that money is for the team to share. That's one of the talking points. Let me also read this one, then Cecilia will read the rest. Super Falcons going forward, he says, we are working to see that we can hold the interview to select the new head coach for the Super Falcons. I have a meeting with our extra auditors this week on the need for us to get this done. Once we get the appearance money for the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup, we will hand over the 30%. That is the entitlement of the players. Then ring-fence the balance for the purpose of paying a new coach. All of this about the Falcons. Cecilia, there's also the issue about the indebtedness of women's league clubs to players.
Yeah, in this particular issue, he says it's most unfortunate that some clubs are owing players in the women's league. This is not good. Having said that, the league has a board, and we expect to have correspondence from the board on such matters before we intervene. A case was brought to my notice some weeks ago, and I decisively intervened. But if we don't have information or representation from the board, there's little we can do. This is a fallout of where Pelican Stars, the players have been protesting 10 months on paid wages. I hope they can sort that out very soon. And he went further on the NNL and other league, that's the Nigerian National League and other leagues across Nigeria. It says, what I can assure is that once we get the green light from the federal government to get going with football, we will ensure that the NNL and the other leagues also get going alongside the MPFL. The football committee will present its reports by next week, and we're also looking to boost the leagues with solidarity funds from FIFA and from sponsorship funds. And this one, it says $50,000 will be given to the men and the women's team across the tiers of the football. Then the last one has to do with the age grade teams. And in this one, he says, we're looking to still keep the age grade teams in business despite priorities being given to the Super Eagles and Super Falcons. But there will be conditions. They will earn no match bonus or camp allowances, and we will only be able to take on board the minimum technical and backroom staff as specified by FIFA and CAF. However, if any of the team goes ahead and win the World Cup or performs well enough at the World Cup to earn appearance fee, that money will be shared by the entire team. The NFF will have no part of it. This will be the boon for them, the incentive to perform.
Right.
That's the last one. These are just some, there's so many things that were discussed, but these are the highlights we were picking from it, including the fact that the clubs, the leagues will have to be sharing $50,000 each. That's $100,000 for the men and the women's team out of the $500,000 that was given to them by FIFA.
Your thoughts? Your thoughts?
Oh, well, I think that there's a lot of new information that the NFF chairman has shared, but I also think there's a lot of stating the obvious. And it reads, sadly, like something that the chairman of the NFF could have said in 1993 or in 1983. The fundamental issues plaguing our football remain. And there's no football setup, any serious football setup across the world that bases its sustenance on handouts from CAF or from FIFA. Why is it that in other parts of the world, especially in the developed parts, there is little or no focus or attention on these monies? That's because there's a league system that is sustainable,
the money,
where the players get paid gainfully for what they do. If you had a league system that is viable, there will be little or no attention on this sort of money. Because if you think about it, the monies that the Super Falcons are supposed to get, I did a quick calculation now. What goes to each individual is about $7,600. How much is that? It's not money that changes anybody's life. Even the monies that we're talking about for age grade teams, you know, these allow, if they go, that's if they go,
If they go to win.
So it's not money that changes anybody's life.
But it simply means the players and all the coaches and all the players will have to be in camp all through.
Yes.
Play through tournaments, qualify
Yes.
until they get to that
With
stage.
no entitlements.
Nothing
You understand?
will come
So
out.
imagine that you actually
At 20-year-old, you're looking at 20-year-old, you're looking at 17 years old and all that.
Wouldn't it be a more sustainable model if you had sponsors for these teams and you had regular monies coming in from which, you know, this, you know, system can be sustained, as against a promise of some one-off payment from allowances that doesn't amount to anything? That's not, I disagree. It's not an incentive that motivates anybody to perform. Those guys at the end of the day will perform because they want a brighter future for themselves. They want clubs from Europe and other places to look at them.
You're going to develop a mercenary attitude.
Do you understand? And what you do at the end of the day is you keep entrenching this system that hasn't worked for us over time, where we've won, what, 5 under-17 World Cups, but we've never progressed beyond the second round of the FIFA World Cup. Why? Because there has been no translation. We have found very, very, for want, I mean, not for a want, for my deliberate avoidance of saying something that might incite, we find ways around, you know, the ideal, you know, essence of the under-17 and under-20 championships. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
Exactly. So, and you continue to drive the potential of that happening when you start to make it seem like, oh, there is some benefit. There's no benefit to it other than the guys getting deals from clubs in Europe. And that's the fact. And that's why people get very desperate about stuff. How about we spend some time? How about one Nigerian Football Federation administration or tenor representing the deliberate fixing of some of the fundamental problems that have plagued us over time? We wouldn't be interested in how much money from a CAF or a FIFA, you know, handouts that is trickling down. If everything was, we don't even need everything to run smoothly. We just need some key, you know, fundamental things to be fixed. If you moved us, like we were talking about with the issue of racism in football, some 20 years ago, the picture was different. Now, there's been some progress.
Yes.
And if we keep moving the needle per time, there will come a time when most of the issues would have been addressed. But what you have are successive NFF regimes, sport ministries that never ever get to addressing the fundamentals. You can't have a league where most of the clubs belong to government. And if government isn't paying salaries of teachers, paying salaries in other sectors, how on earth do you expect that those footballers get paid? That's why they'll be owed 10-month salaries. If majority of the funds that drive their sustainability comes from government, and government is broke, it will trickle down to them.
Of course.
So the real issues, are getting danced around. They are not getting addressed. And so I don't get excited when I listen to or read, excerpts of what was said during an AGM. I'm looking for the needle-moving things, the game-changing initiatives, the things that would mean that we don't come back to these same issues next year, 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line. I don't see any of those. I see a lot of political correctness. I see a lot of information sharing, and I see a lot of stating the obvious, like I said. I can't point to one thing that speaks to how we're going to change structurally or change the system or attract more value to this league. I saw a lot of stuff about how some detractors have been reaching out to sponsors and almost getting them to dump, the NFF. For crying out loud, how many sponsors do they have? I'm not sure they're up to 5.
I think it should be more than. We don't want to start mentioning
real
okay, real sponsors.
I'm not talking about,
okay, not
real,
the ones that
yes,
just put
real
money
sponsors who spend tangibly on our football. I'm not sure they're up to 5. Nah. And this is the second biggest, passion point in this nation. In terms of actual numbers, you may even have more people who interact and engage with football than people who do with music. But you can't monetize it. You can't find sponsors. You can't build a system that means that even if there are detractors, the sponsors extract commensurate value or near commensurate value for their investment to mean that you don't have to go there and use your personal relationship, like he said, to sustain the sponsorship. He alluded a lot to being, members of the board using their personal relationship to sustain. That doesn't add up. I'm sorry, it doesn't add up. You shouldn't be doing that. You should have a product that is attractive enough to corporates to want to put their monies on. And if you don't have that, the blame is on you.
Okay.
It's not on the sponsor. It's not on the detractors. You can make all the excuses in the world. If in 4 years, in 8 years, you've been in charge of, driving the system and you haven't done any structural changes, you haven't moved the needle in any way that would mean that, the fortunes of our football changes, I'm sorry. This is all just, an exercise
in futility.
In futility, an exercise that doesn't amount to anything.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Enough said.
Okay. Yeah. Enough said. Yeah. Okay. I had a Instagram chat with Assisa Toshola where fans were actually asking us so many questions, and one of the questions was what NFF is actually doing to look into the welfare of female footballers, and here's the response to that.
To look into the welfare of the players. Some players get paid maybe 30,000 a month. So that, or maybe 60,000 max, and that's like a lot a month. But other teams like Rivers Angels, they pay like 150 grand, Bielsa Queens and all that. And that's even like maybe 500 euros or thereabout, So we're still not, they need to be more concerned about the welfare of the players. Imagine me working the whole month and then earning 100 euros, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 a month. It's not good. Do you get? It's not good. Yeah. Looking into the welfare of the players, making sure the league is standard. Every team needs to play, attend all games. Sometimes they go off for 6 months or 4 months, 5 months, no league game, nothing. Yeah. And then they come again, they resume. It doesn't work like that in Europe. Max, you only get like 2 months off. And then we'll still be here the next 2 months. We won't even have a date when we'll resume, or 3 months. And the girls will be training all year. That's like a year without a tournament. And the Nations Cup is supposed to happen maybe at some point in November. I don't know if it will still hold. But anyways, if it's still going to hold, you can't take 21 players to the tournament. So imagine bringing in players from the local league. And they've not been playing games as much as those in Europe. It can't be on the same level. It's not possible. They're just not paying attention to the female needs in Nigeria. I think they're not just that serious. I'm glad we have a setup already. It's getting better. I think I heard they have partnership with La Liga or something, Yeah. Maybe these things can actually help brands to come in and start supporting and start funding the league and all that. We need more marketing. We need to package and brand ourselves so we can be marketable.
Yeah, it's all about marketing and branding. And just earlier this year, we had the chairperson of Nigeria Women's Football League actually launching rebranding a logo where you have the NWPL, the nationwide, and also you have the championship. So that maybe might just get something going for the women's
No, it
league.
won't.
Marketing
It won't.
and
That's
branding.
activity. That's not
activities.
strategy.
Okay.
You've got to have a clear strategy as to how you want to build a product that offers some semblance of value. Are we even looking at the possibility of having some corporates, for instance, look at this as maybe corporate social responsibility? There's a lot of budgets in those areas that brands, sometimes don't even expend completely. So if you cannot offer value for every kobo spent from a pure sponsorship standpoint, how about we position some of these things like women's football, like something that some, pro-women organizations can get some of their CSR funds behind.
As long as you give them mileage.
There's got to be a strategy to these things. You don't just create a logo, make a song and dance about it. That's activity. There's no strategy behind it. That's not how to make things work.
Okay.
When the league starts, you should be able to know more about that. Okay, let's talk about Ghana Leave women's
Okay.
game now, Lord.
All right, let's talk about Gennaro Raw. Let's just quickly, Gennaro Raw was, we had a chat with him yesterday on the show, spoke about a lot of interesting things. And one of the things that a lot of people wanted to listen to was about home-based players, selection of players. I mean, he put to rest a whole lot of issues with his response. So let's just get his take. Of course, we'll come back for more of Sports this morning.
Of the time with me is the goalkeeper is Enver. But all the other players we invited, once they are in our Super Eagles team, they go to Europe and they are sold to this or this or this club. So and then there are no more Nigerian players. You cannot do all the time the team with Nigerian players. We have also a Chan team. The best players all the time from this team have a chance to come in my team. And with my assistants, we are looking for them. They have a chance. I will watch the games. My assistant will see the games like we did all the time. We had the last time is Yusuf Salisu. They went into the final in Morocco, and there were 3 players who are coming with us. Now they're in Europe, of course. So it's like that. You cannot all the time invite local league players, and then they go to Europe, and you want me to invite other local league players. It's not always possible. But we want to have the best one. If you want to come in this team now, you must be very strong, because we have already very good young players, and in Europe, players who are born from Nigerian parents, or the father or the mother, are so strong that it's very, very difficult for the local players to come in. Yeah, it's not a part of my contract to take players who are not so good like other one. I can choose my players myself. That is the most important. So nobody can tell me you have to take this one or this one or this one. I can take the best players, and I don't do it alone. We have a team in our staff. I have my assistants, I have my analyzer. Each Monday we have our meeting, and we speak about the games of the weekend, what they did our players. So no, we have to take the best one, no matter where they are coming from.
All right, Super Eagles coach Gennaro Raw. But let me just get your take quickly. Talk about, look, I'm still in charge. I'm responsible for team selection. If any player is good, he gets to play. I mean, we don't do window dressing. You're not just going to put it because it's off base. Talk about all of the issues. We have just probably a minute to go on break. But your thoughts, when you hear him speak like that, I mean, it shows all of the pictures painted. I mean, man is still fully in charge, probably.
We hope.
Okay.
We hope. I mean, that's the hope, that's the expectation of how the national team setup should work, devoid of external influences, devoid of external pressures, forcing the hands of the manager to select, players who are not good enough to represent us. This happened in the past, even at the grandest levels. Yeah. We've seen coaches go to the World Cup with questionable selections, characters who don't play football any better than some of us who play street soccer. Yes, they've gone to the World Cup, especially 2014, to be specific.
Yeah.
And we would hate to see stuff like that in our football. And that's why you need a manager who has the free reins, who has the opportunity to make independent calls based on merit, selects the best players to represent us, doesn't matter where they play. And if he says he has that, I want to believe him. And I do hope that that continues to be the case, at least for the duration of his contract. Because what you don't want is a manager who can take full responsibility for his results just because some of his processes have been compromised by external pressures or the powers that be. So I believe him as he says it, and I hope that that continues for long.
That's a hope, and that's a prayer. All right. We need to go on a break now. We'll come back. We'll be talking about the game that went down in German Bundesliga last night. Okay, let's quickly touch down in Germany. Before Germany, let's talk about Odion Ighalo. I mean, the contract finally that everyone had been waiting for. He got the deal, and so he will be at Old Trafford until January. Well, I read a piece written by Bode Oguntoyi, trying to analyze, what Odion Ighalo has brought to United, and the fact that it will be better for him to just, you've enjoyed the ovation and everything. Why not just leave now instead of dragging it and staying permanently? The United old boys and the DNA guys, anything goes wrong, they come after you.
I think the risk of being criticized shouldn't outweigh the apparent value that this guy can derive from playing for a top club like Manchester United. There's no comparing United to the club he represents in China, or he was representing in China. Okay. And I don't subscribe to that thinking that, he should leave when the ovation is loud. What ovation? He's only played a handful of games before COVID-19 interfered. And so if he continues to play, I believe that he will continue to deliver those levels of performances. There's no reason why I shouldn't believe that. I mean, he's training with the best players in the world. He's playing, using the best facilities in the world. He's playing in the best competitions in the world. That's the dream for any player. Except we're saying that we're not confident that Odion Ighalo can rise up to the challenge. He already has demonstrated he can. But the question is, can he continue to? We will never know until he does it. So, I don't subscribe to that thinking. I don't know that that's what Uncle Bode actually means. But I think that Odion Ighalo has bought himself, or has earned himself. That's the right way to put it. Another, maybe 7 months of playing. So
you don't agree with those who say different time, different circumstances, he'll probably not be a United player. I guess that's where Cecilia is going. If the cloud clears now, a lot of people start saying, well, we don't really need this type of player.
No, that's not true. Okay. He brings a different kind of, skill set.
Okay.
He's a presence in the box. He doesn't have pace to get around like them Rashford. United, even with Martial and the likes fit, don't have a proven lethal, traditional number 9. Yeah. Okay. And that's what he is. That's what he brings. He brings a whole lot of experience. This is a guy who's been top scorer in the... I think that we disrespect this guy a little bit by thinking of him in this way. This is not Victor Osimhen. No disrespect to Victor Osimhen. But he's not only talented, he has proven over time. He's played in this league for a lower club, and he did it for Watford. Yeah. So what are we talking about here? This is Odion Ighalo.
All right.
Okay. All right, let's go to the papers now. I'll start with Complete Sports. And Complete Sports here. Complete Sports. I'm starting with this one. It's a United strike 10.5 million Ighalo deal. Of course, it's still there. And Raw Eagles can win 2021 AFCON. But, there's a question mark. Wants Osimhen to stay in Lille for one more season. That's some of the things they talked about on the show yesterday. Pinnick says, in Raw, we trust. Osimhen, Simon, destined for big clubs. And they also have, as it says, 9 more games to salvage EPL career. All right, Raw wants Eze to commit future to Nigeria, and Madrid turned down chance to sign William. Which one gets you talking in all of this?
Isaac's success, the curious case of a guy with so much promise. I remember on the 17th, I was a bigger fan of this guy than I was of Kelechi Iheanacho. Yeah, because he's got pace, he's got power, and he can finish. It was quite the complete package. but it's sort of gone off a little bit. Maybe not a little bit, a whole lot.
A whole lot.
You know, he was at some point Watford's record signing, I think, but it hasn't exactly hit the ground running. And you can tell that his head is not in the right place. He's had some spectacular off-the-field incidences, a famous one with prostitutes, and it just doesn't look to me that he's knuckling down to, you know, football and giving it his 100%. He's the kind of player who's got all of the ingredients to be the best or one of the best in his age category, but he hasn't hacked it, and that pains my heart. Because whereas Iheanacho doesn't have the pace, you know, this guy's got it. He's got frightening pace. He's got great physical presence. You know, he's the kind of player that strikes fear. Think Adama Traore, maybe not as powerful, but he's that kind of presence. The kind of player who strikes fear into the hearts of opposition. And he's also very technical. He's got all the skill set that you require to play at this level. And he's just disappointed again and again. And to hear he's got just a couple of games to save his Premier League career or Watford career, it just, you know, brings into spotlight how much of a letdown his career has been. And
do you feel he's had a fair crack of the whip, in your opinion? Because a lot of people feel African players...
No, I don't think he's got any excuses, to be honest. I mean, if a club shells out money they've never paid on a player before...
For you.
If being black didn't stop them from paying that money to get you in the first place, then we've got to be questioning your performance levels. We saw him in games where he came on for cameo appearances, and he didn't quite exactly seem like he knew what he was doing on the pitch. Out wide on the left, where he's got the opportunity to cut in on his right foot and shoot, he doesn't even shoot. You know, he just seems like he's settled into a comfort zone, which it must be said a lot of African Nigerian players settle into.
Once some of them
get his contract.
Once they get his contract that secures their future in their minds, you know, they bought a few houses, they bought a few cars, they just sort of settle. You can see from their body language, the ambition is not to be the best.
Oh God, just visuals.
Okay.
All right.
That's a dummy one. Okay.
All right, Spotted Son,
the last one.
a lot of interesting stories, but I don't know why I want to go to the bottom strip first. Bottom strip. A lot of people say a lot of Mike Tyson. Some people also say, look, man looks sharp, man looks fit. But actually, Joshua this morning say, look, he doesn't want to fight Mike. Because if I win, people are going to boo me. I'm young, he's old, I beat him. They say, you're beating the old man. Should we even be talking about Mike Tyson?
Ask that question.
I think that the health risks associated with a 50-something-year-old getting into the ring and subjecting himself to punches to the head for 12 rounds. The thought of it scares me, to be honest. I don't doubt the fact that he's in great physical condition. I see his training. He looks very, very, you know, scary. You know, the speed of his punches, you know, he's in great movement. Yeah, his movement is, but that's not all that you require to not die in...
That's a good one. That's a good. But as we go, if it was Evander Holyfield, would we have loved to see both? They're almost the same age.
Maybe over a 3-round contest. Okay. Something like a novelty, you know, an exhibition.
Boxing can never be exhibition. You fight boxing.
That's the point. You know, the risks associated with having people 50 and above punching themselves in the ring outweighs the entertainment value that he could deliver. I don't want to see that.
Want to see it. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we got to go. But Akintunde Johnson, I want to thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Always fun having you. Always fun having you around. Thank you as well for allowing us to be a part of your day today. We'll be back again tomorrow. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.
And I'm Cecilia Mogbe. Thanks for watching.